So today with us, we have the founder of School Diary, which makes parent-school communication easy, engaging, and effective. So School Diary is a mobile-first platform that enables parents to receive timely updates, to track children in terms of homework, attendance, as well as monitor child safety. To give you a little background about founder, he has an engineering degree from HBTI Kanpur, as well as a master's in business administration from IIM Calcutta. Along with the 10 plus years with working with 500 Fortune 500 companies, and he's trying to build School Diary since last 8 years. What most interesting part that I felt was his vision is to create 10,000 plus jobs, and that's the biggest motivation as well. So welcome, Mr. Ashish, on our episode of Hustler Stories.
Thank you, Daria, for having me. I think that was a very long introduction, but well done. Yeah, so good to talk to a fellow entrepreneur and share the story. So
right. So, Mr. Ashish, why don't you go ahead and give a little bit of your background? Though I have introduced you, but a little bit of from your side.
right, so it starts for me like that. In the engineering college days, me and one of my friends, we used to joke around that one day we'll start up, because it looked pretty cool in 90s, right? When everybody was going for a job, you two were looking very different.
Right.
Now I kept repeating that lie, right? It was a lie then, right, to myself for a so long period of time, right? Almost, God knows, 15-20 years. That when that moment in IIM Calcutta came, when I got a crore plus offer, and
Right.
I said, you cannot take it, right? You have to do something which you have always told yourself, which you are kind of wanted to do. So there is where I kind of discovered myself in a way that even if you repeat a lie enough number of times, it becomes a truth in you, and you kind of have to follow it, right? And that's how I started Euphony in 2012, right after my MBA. Before that, I was with Infosys for 10 years, working with different clients, India and abroad, but mostly in the telecommunication domain, with AT&T, Verizon, Time Warner, and then eventually in retail with P&G, in different capacities. At the end of it, mostly on the sales, as well as on the corporate planning side of it. But then I said, enough is enough. Now we have to create something, and that's how my journey started.
Right. So you had a previous startup before, School Diary, right? If I'm correct.
Not a startup. We had a different product which kind of bombed.
Okay.
So a lot of learning there, and that product itself got pivoted, and School Diary got created out of it, right? That's how the story goes.
So would you mind to give a little bit of what exactly triggered that pivot 8 years back?
Right. So when I graduated in 2012, right? It will sound very unreal, but I had funding before the idea was put into a presentation, right?
Wow.
So I had angels who had invested. So the idea was, the product was called Zoment. It's still live, but in different avatars now. And it was in 2012. Imagine, it was like a WhatsApp plus a scheduler, right? So you could schedule a message for a time and location, along with a normal WhatsApp communication platform which we had. WhatsApp was new to India at that time, not that popular. And we had initial traction. We got some 8-10,000 users, mostly people using it, if somebody is stepping out, leaving themselves reminders for a particular location. For example, if you are crossing a particular place in town, say a grocery store, your wife can drop a pin saying that, bring this in, while
Right.
you are near that premise, right?
Right.
Good product, but way ahead of its time. And then WeChat and Line happened in India. They invested almost $30 million in their marketing, and we had none. So we kind of quickly discovered that B2C play requires a lot of money, which we didn't have. So and we still had certain amount of capital left, which we had raised for Zoment, right? So that is the point I started thinking something has to be done differently, because either we need huge amount of capital, or we have to use the capital wisely to actually, those people who have trusted me, we have to get them something out of it, right?
Right.
And that's how we pivoted. One day, this was the year 2012. Fast forward to 2014, I was dropping my elder son to the bus stop. He was in grade 1 at that time. The bugger never used to tell what is happening in his school, and I
Okay.
discovered on the bus stop that he had to bring a chart paper to school that day.
Okay.
Had absolutely no idea about, right? So there was no communication. So I kind of felt that there was something which required my attention, but I didn't know. It was written on some piece of paper somewhere in a diary, which
Correct.
nobody used to check, right? I came back, had an interaction with my wife, who was a teacher at that time, and her struggle was different from another angle. She never
Okay.
wanted to share her personal phone number or WhatsApp with a parent, right? Because she used to get 9 p.m. calls asking, why the tiffin is not finished and stuff like that, right?
Correct.
So, and we had a WhatsApp kind of a communication engine built in, right? So I said, I took it to her preschool, offered it to them for free, said, if you like it, great. Otherwise, anyways, we are going to kill it. So they wrote us, they used the solution for almost 3 months, and they wrote us a check. And then is when this was end of 2014, we realized, oh, we have a business model here as well. There is a need. And from there, it kind of evolved. It was initially a parent teacher communication and engagement platform. And now what we kind of say for ourselves is, we say we are a school on a smartphone. So,
Right.
right, anything which you want to do from a school, be it virtual learning, on class learning, homework distribution, attendance, payments, bus tracking, performance management, communication, um, and e-commerce for a school, everything bundled into one window solution which works on a phone, and it is pretty easy to use, right? So
Right.
that's how our product journey has been in last 8 years.
That is very interesting. So since you already mentioned about how did you get your first customer, how was your journey from moving from the first customer to first 5 customers? What all process, or what all things that you followed which didn't work out? You again tried something that might have worked out. So could you give us a little bit on that?
So it's blood and sweat. Even the first presentation, although it was serendipity, right? When somebody kind of, I kind of discovered, and somebody suggested as well at the same time, that this is one domain where the communication is very important. I actually created 114 different presentations on
Oh,
all the
wow.
domains possible, right?
Okay.
And I interacted with a lot of people in those domains, including with guys from HUL and PNG, right? If there is a
Wow.
communication which they wanted to have with their customer, because what we were sitting with a technology which
Correct.
could kind of bridge the gap, but it was not a product then. And when this happened, right? First customers is the toughest, and for first 5 customers, and I say a customer when they are a paying customer, right?
Absolutely.
I somehow the freebie business model does not work with me. First 5 are incredibly difficult, and whatever they ask, if that is aligned with what you are doing, right, broadly aligned, right, not narrowly, you should just do it, and ensure that they are very happy with it, and it actually turns out and solves a problem for them, right? Don't try to focus on what you want to create. Focus on more what a customer really needs, right? Because there are two kind of solutions, right? One set of people will always come in and talk about the Apple business model, where you're kind of introducing something which a customer is not even aware of. But 90% of the time, um, products would be targeting a latent need in some sense, right? So to understand that need is very important, and there is where 90% of the companies fail as well, right? Because the business model is not there. The technology may be great, but the business model is there not there. So I would say, listen to the customers very closely, especially the paying ones,
Right.
and ensure that at the end of the day they benefit out of it. It should not be an experiment from their side, which they kind of try and forget. Rather,
Right.
it should be something which becomes meaningful for them day in day out as they kind of go around their business. And
Right.
that is how, if you look at it, right, our product, just a communication, a messaging platform, right? having 47 different modules now.
Wow.
It tells you that the customer comes back as long as it is broadly aligned with our vision of what we are trying to do in a school. you know
Right.
we strive hard to kind of implement it.
Yeah, actually, you rightly mentioned, hard work, there is no replacement for hard work. And, uh, understanding the customer's current need, latent need is definitely, something uh, every startup or every business needs to understand.
That is correct.
Right. So, since School Diary is not only present in Pune, it is also present pan India, as well as you are present globally.
Yeah.
Could you give us a little bit on that? How, which all countries are you present at the moment? How
So
did
we are in
you?
actually 10 plus countries. So in India, of course. Then we are in Middle East, in Africa, in a couple of countries. We are in Europe, in Hungary. We are in Latin America. We are as far as in Philippines on the eastern side, right? Um, uh, and many South Asian countries, including Nepal and Bangladesh, right? So that's our kind of global footprint. Now the ambition is to go in US, and we are working really hard to achieve that goal.
Right, right. So what triggered the expansion into global market? I mean, what exactly I mean, there might be some insights from from global need. I mean, what exactly was your study, or what? How did you reach out uh, globally?
Right. So the MBA answer to that would be, we had a product which has a global appeal, right? At the end of the day, the parents always, the school always, good schools always want to engage parents, because, parents are kind of create the word of mouth for them, and that's how they get more admissions. All the established schools, ones who exist for say 150 years, we don't care for them. We only look at schools which are new and upcoming, and they want to differentiate and add value, right? So there is where the segment lies, and you have lakhs of such schools across the world, right? And
Correct.
with this global footprint, we have realized that there is a need as well, right? Especially in these COVID times, and as and when the internet is becoming cheaper and smartphones more ubiquitous, these
Absolutely.
things are going to rise. Now this is the MBA answer, right? uh, the real Dhandewala answer is pretty straightforward. India is incredibly tough market to sustain,
Right.
with a long list of competitors, me too kind of, who may not be in real competition, but they will just come and squander the market, right? They might not be very serious about it, but that's how it happens. Plus, the Indian customer psyche is, extract the maximum value but pay none, right? So
Correct.
although we are profitable, we have sustained ourselves really well here, right? But what we are realizing in international market, we are actually getting the good value for the product which we have, right? So that is one thing which is kind of attractive for us, and that is something which we are chasing as well.
Right, right, right. That's really great to hear that. So in this, in the current scenario with this COVID being hit since last 4 months, how did you strategize, or what pivots did you, consider? How did you plan your, for the, was there any effect due to COVID, or, how are you planning to take this forward, since the schools are not opening up for a pretty, decent amount of time, even after, the COVID has, it's still there in the air, but how do you plan to take it forward from here?
So I'll break this question in two parts, right?
Sure.
First is what we are doing and how, and the second is how it is impacting us, and what we are doing about it, right? So we were working on a virtual PTA module, right? Last, I think January, February is when we kind of started, and February end and March beginning, COVID happened, right? So we were able to quickly adapt and kind of create a self-hosted virtual conference, a virtual classroom, right?
Interesting.
Which is integrated, right? So instead of sharing links for every class and a password with a student, which can be shared with somebody else as well, everything is on School Diary, and with a single click, the student does not need to remember any link. They get directly connected to the platform. and with limited privileges. So teacher is able to control the session rather than everybody having the same powers, right? So we were able to kind of roll it out, and we have seen many good schools have started using it, right? Because there is where there is a need, imminent need for them as well, right?
Right.
Then in the last couple of months, we have actually scaled up our online exam module as well, right? Where somebody sitting at home. Now, for example, a school in Indore, just yesterday, almost 1,500 students took that exam at the same time, and everybody
Wow.
was uploading their own question answer sheets. Some part of it was they had to click a photograph and kind of upload it. Rest all was MCQ driven, and school able to see that it's getting automated marked, and the numbers getting flown into their performance report, right? So these are the some of the modules which we have ramped up as we
Wow.
have learned, um, as the COVID struck, right? Otherwise they would have taken their shape, but it would have not precipitated the way it has for now. Now, what challenges have we faced? Preschool is a good set of is a business for us, and preschools are unfortunately shut, and I don't see them opening very soon. So all the
Right.
revenue, all the business which was pretty certain and stable, right, it's kind of gone. So on one side there is an advantage where online education and a need for a more communication and engagement with parents is going up.
Correct.
Unfortunately, there are certain set of our customers who are really struggling. So it's a but on the overall, we see an upside.
Right. So since the virtual learning classroom and all of that you ramped up in the last couple of months, how was the feedback from the parents and students? How well they adapted to a completely shift from in class teaching against getting into the learning virtual learning classroom.
I
Uh,
think it was tough for everybody involved, especially the teachers, right? Unfortunately, in our, we work with a teacher with teachers, and everything depends on them, and they are not technically that advanced in India, right? So they have their own
Correct.
struggles, and the learning curve here was pretty steep for them, right?
Right.
So everybody initially had a struggle. We faced at many of the places, for example, in Udaipur and smaller towns, the internet was a big challenge, right? So adjusting around that, right, was really difficult for everyone involved, and many a times people were accessing it from a very basic smartphone, right? uh, where the device itself has certain limitations, right, on how much video it can process runtime, right? So
Correct.
those kind of challenges which we face, we got good feedback as well, right? Some of the good schools are really, once they become comfortable, once they saw how they can use the platform to their advantage, things kind of settle down for them.
Okay. Okay. That's very interesting. And since everyone is moving towards virtual,
Yeah,
this is here for long, is what everyone believes, in at least in edtech space.
there's some kind of dramatic shift which will happen in this business, right? And as we are gradually seeing as well, right? um, but I think there has to be tools which have to evolve further for the engagement to be sustained, right,
Right.
while everybody works virtually, right? So I think there is where there are opportunities,
Correct.
which we are exploring for ourselves as well.
Okay. Okay. That's great. That's great. So,
Right.
since you are excelling in the school diary platform, and you have pivoted. I would say, rather than pivoting, you added a lot of functionalities during this COVID situation. Uh, uh, you know, uh, there are a lot of other companies who provide learning management software, and a different kind of modules. How do you differentiate? Though it's a communication platform, there are a lot of modules. You said 47 modules in the
So we
platform.
are, if I summarize, right, we are a communication platform, we are a performance management platform, we are a bus tracking platform, we are a fee management platform, we
Right.
are a e-commerce platform, we are everything platform from a school perspective, and
Right.
LMS is part of it, right?
Okay.
So actually, we are working on a LMS as well, which will be completely integrated with School Diary. See, what we kind of realized very quickly is, um, in India especially, and now in other countries as well, you cannot have 50 pinpointed solutions.
Correct.
The human resource, is of the schools is not going to is it's a humongous problem for them to learn 50 systems, and manage it, and
Absolutely.
especially when all of them require their own data,
Correct.
which is student data in between, which we call it as student information system. So now what we are pitching to the schools is pretty straightforward. If you use 10 applications, pay for 10 things, you can put that aside. You have one single interface where you can do everything. Your data is at one place and you manage it well and there, right?
Right.
So as I said, right, we are learning from our schools as well, and this is one area where we want to be in, and actually we will be in by this month end.
Okay. Okay. That's great. That's great. So are there any, direct, indirect competitors, though there are, piece by piece, modules available, but are there any direct competitors in
for
India
a
or?
holistic for a holistic solution, there are not many. Of course, it would be wrong for me to say there is no competition. There is a long tail of competition. For example, in bus tracking, we compete with Northstar, one of a big company in India.
Right.
For performance management, we probably take on ReportBee, right? For parent engagement, there are 10 other different platforms with different capacities and capabilities. For a web-based ERP kind of thing, we have Fedena, right? So there are multiple solutions which exist, but is there any solution which kind of brings everything on a smartphone in an easy way? I think we'll be leading that race there.
Okay. Okay. That's great to know that, you're leading that race, and as a platform, you have multiple modules, pick and choose whichever, based on, school's need.
Correct.
So that's actually a great,
And in the language they need. So for
okay.
example, if yeah, so the system on the app on the runtime, you can select the interface can adapt to the language of your choice. So we are currently
Okay.
live in, I think, 4 Indian languages and two international languages, and
Okay.
we want to expand it further for the Indian languages, and it is pretty easy for us because that's how we have built the system, right? So
Okay.
with certain tweaks, and you have a new language added to the platform.
Okay. This is very interesting. So what all Indian languages are you supporting at this moment?
So Hindi, Gujarati, Marathi, and of course English is live, and we are working on Kannada, Tamil, and Malayalam,
Okay.
as well as Telugu.
Right.
And I hope in next month and a half we'll have those live as well.
I'm sure this is going to be a game changer for School Diary. Getting into the regional languages and providing that kind of a service as a platform.
Right. I think we hope so. I think where we need is we need market access.
Correct.
Instead of putting our legs on the ground, we work with a lot of partners.
Okay.
So anybody listening in, we are we'll be more than thrilled to partner and kind of take it to different places.
Yeah, actually, my following question was that how are you reaching out to your customers? I mean, how do
See,
you?
school business is the tough business, both
Right.
in the terms of selling and in terms of recovery. So far, we have done it majorly through our own efforts plus partners.
Okay.
Internationally and otherwise, we are more and more dependent on creating a pull where customers come to us now,
Right.
um, and um, and then have a means of servicing them. It could be via partner or our own legs on the ground, but we
Okay.
completely handle the tech and the customer support of it in house for any country that we kind of work with. We intend to keep it that way.
Right. 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 So what all? So are there any marketing strategies? In terms of currently, since the movement is restricted, how are your partners or your team working towards getting more clients, or is there some insights that you could provide that could help startups? That how do you in this uncertain situation, how do you reach out to your customers?
There is no choice, right?
Okay.
So the what bakes for you bakes for me as well. So unfortunately it has to be done virtually to the maximum extent in countries where the impact is less, or where people are able to step out and go, that is there. but we are attracting a lot of attention digitally, as well as an organic attraction towards our website and generating leads from there. So we are kind of trying to push it while our folks are not able to step out. Plus, there are partners who we work with who have access to customers, or who have access and resources and means to make it happen, even if they're not able to go there. Right.
Okay.
So, it's a mixed bag of thing. Everybody is trying. There is no right and wrong answer here. Is whatever it takes to kind of sustain and survive.
Correct. Absolutely. Absolutely rightly said. Whatever it takes to, sustain in this situation, you have to, bank on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's great. So what plans do you have for next 12 months with School Diary? How do you plan to take this forward?
I think expand big time in US and at least add a dozen more countries to our portfolio.
Okay. That's good to know. So to conclude with this episode, what is one mantra that you would give the budding entrepreneurs from based on your experience and the work that you've been doing until now?
Persistence.
Persistence.
I think there is only one difference between a failed startup and a successful one, is that one day they have sustained or persisted a little longer than a failed one.
Right.
Because you never know. As long as you are smart enough, which everybody is, and you commit and you try to solve a problem, one day or the other you're going to find it. It's just you keep persistent on that. I don't buy this the Western mindset of go big and go home. No, not every company is worth $1 billion. A top line of 10-20 crores with 30-40% of gross margin is a good business, right? At the end of the day, rather than working for somebody else and creating jobs, right? At the end of the day, if you are creating jobs, if you are reaching that kind of level, right, it's good business. Good to be independent. So for that to happen, you have to persist a little longer.
Right. I'm sure a lot of people who will be watching this interview will be of great help for them.
Absolutely, and I wish they learn what I've learned the hard way. The first product usually bombs because at the end of the day, you are trying to create a market fit, and the entrepreneurs end up creating something they love rather than what market needs.
Absolutely.
So understanding that product market fit is very easy to say than doing it. So for that to happen, you have to persist. So as long as you keep these two things in mind, and give your heart and soul to it, good things do happen.
Great. Yes, so we will conclude this interview. Thank you so much for giving us time and sharing your story. And
sure, Arya, thanks for having me.
Yes.